All right, Jordan, let's go ahead and flip the page to what everybody's talking about around Clemson boards and on the internet and around the college football online community that we're a part of, Twitter, wherever you consume your college football content. This is a hot ticket item right now. The recruitment of Bryce Perry-Wright. We've talked about it in length on this channel for several months. And Clemson has been in a really good place for majority of that time that we've been talking about his recruitment. He was on the official visit weekend way back at the end of May, beginning of June timeframe, just over a month ago. He was on campus, had a great time, had great things to say about the Tigers exiting that. Obviously didn't shut down his recruitment, just like you and I thought he wouldn't, right? Went on to have official visits. And now there's a little bit of noise. We've been feeling good. His original commitment date was set for July 4th, which would have been tomorrow. Since then, this week, he has pushed it back one day to July 5th, which will fall on this Saturday. He'll do his commitment on July 5th instead. And there is suddenly quite a bit of noise out of the Texas A&M camp. There's some national media types that are saying that they have, quote unquote, flipped him or they've swayed him over to Texas A&M side. So I'm sure there's a lot of worried Clemson Tiger fans out there. I'm sure there's a lot of uneasiness amongst the fan base right now. So tell everybody what is going on with the Bryce Perry-Wright recruitment as it stands right now, 7:27 on this Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, this is a turn that, I think Clemson certainly didn't really expect. I will say that. But yeah, the rumors, the smoke is very much real. And I think, I've talked about this recruitment every time I've mentioned Bryce Perry-Wright. I've said this is a priority guy. This is arguably the most important guy that you need to land with everything that you have in your favor in terms of connections. His first cousin is Grady Jarrett. He is the nephew of Armand Mason, walk-on defensive end. He's been around Clemson basically his entire life. He's got Clemson family members. He's had the longest relationship with Clemson. There were a lot of things that were pointed toward Clemson being the favorite. But obviously, when you involve the Texas schools, which he took visits to both of them, you always run the risk of certain factors being more prominent in his recruitment. And unfortunately, it's not always up to the kid as well. It's not always just the kid that's being enticed by these things. Sometimes it's people in his circle. And I definitely think that's the case here. So I want to preface that with before I kind of dive into what I think and what I think is going to happen. I really do think that he's probably going to pick Texas A&M. But I do think that this is probably going to end up being it's probably going to be one of the bigger recruiting misses that Clemson has had in quite some time. I do think that while this is not an ender for Clemson's recruiting class, I do think this is one that's going to be a really, really big loss if it does end up coming to pass. I will say that as far as I know, he has not informed either staff of a decision yet. But there definitely is a lot of smoke in A&M's camp right now. So I don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't want to say, oh, it's nothing. Clemson is just going to be fine. He's going to end up in the class. I'm certainly concerned. So I definitely think there's a real chance that he picks A&M on Saturday, but I also don't think Clemson is out of it yet, and they still have time to make their move. And if I were the one making the decision, I would do whatever it takes. Whatever final pitch that Clemson has in their pocket, I think you got to go all in, because I think this is a recruitment that, while it's not, like I said, it's not the end of the world if you lose it, it is a massive hit towards your class. I mean, this is arguably the most important recruit left on the board, and it would do wonders for the state of your class when it ends up when we get to signing day. You know, that it's a 5-star. You don't have any 5 stars committed, so and obviously with recruiting rankings, they go a long way.
This was going to be kind of Clemson's centerpiece, right? To not just the class, but kind of the defensive line. That was going to be the centerpiece, the commitment of Bryce Perry-Wright and what he would mean to this class. It would quite literally mean, going from a very, very good class to, making it a special class, a recruiting class, right? So I don't think that can be understated. These are kind of the unfortunate things when it comes to recruiting, right? The ebbs and flows of recruiting, the ups and downs, the left turns out of nowhere that you never expected to happen. I mean, for months now, we've been feeling really, really good about Clemson's chances of landing Bryce Perry-Wright and him, shutting it down and committing to the Tigers and ultimately becoming a Clemson Tiger. Now that seems a little bit more less likely than it has in recent months. But like you said, Clemson is not 100% out on this. I think there's a lot of truth to the rumors out there about Texas A&M. I do think this has to do with money. I do think it has to do with a large offer from Texas A&M. A large offer that, frankly, Clemson can't match. Let's just be completely honest there, and know who we are from an NIL collective, and we cannot compete with the numbers that Texas A&M can throw around, right? Like those, it just is what it is, right? But that doesn't mean we can't do other things to try to entice him to stick to what I believe he originally wanted to do, which was come and play and become a Clemson Tiger, right? So it's not over yet. Still got a couple days. Anything can happen. But like you say, Jordan, the smoke is real. It would be a massive hit to the class if we lose him. It'd be a massive hit. I still got some hope. I still don't think it's over. But I would be lying if I said I felt great about the recruitment right now. But hey, maybe it ends up being like like the last head-to-head recruitment with Texas, right? And there's a whole bunch of chatter, and it ends up being nothing. I think there's a little bit more substance to this chatter on Texas A&M's part, but again, Clemson's not out of it, and let's hope that Bryce Perry-Wright and chooses to become a Clemson Tiger, and we can pull out this recruitment, because it would be an epic win if they can get him to shut it down and commit to the Clemson Tigers.
Yep, absolutely. And that's that's really what it comes down to. I mean, this recruitment it's not over yet. I will say that, and I don't think something tells me either staff is going to know really before the day of at the very earliest. But Texas A&M is confident. They've put together a really strong offer, and they've done a lot to sway kind of the tides in that recruitment. I definitely think it's going to be either Texas A&M or Clemson. I don't think Miami. I think Miami is definitely on the outside looking in at this point. I really do think it's a Texas A&M, Clemson final two. Even though Miami tried to make a late push earlier in the week, I really do think it's A&M or Clemson. So we'll see what happens. If he ends up picking Clemson, obviously that is a massive addition to the class. Like I said, arguably the most important player on your board from a connection standpoint, and obviously with everything that you're losing after next year, you'd be adding a really elite talent into your defensive line, guy that I think could definitely play early with his versatility along the line. And I can see him playing defensive end. I could see him kicking inside. He can kind of do it all. And that's how Clemson and really all the schools that are recruited him have been pitching to him. So we'll see what happens. I definitely don't think Clemson is going to go quietly. They're going to try to put together their best foot or their best, final pitch, so to speak, and see if it's enough.
Oh, yeah. We'll see. Keep your ears peeled, keep your eyes peeled. This will undoubtedly be a huge announcement whenever it happens on Saturday, whichever way it goes. It'll be huge news regardless. Let's hope that the Tigers come out on top of this one. But again, we shall see.